We are going live now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Regina and Hollis Crime Chat. I'm your host, Regina, and today we have Char. Hi, Char. How you doing, love?
Real good. How are you? I'm happy to be here with all of you.
I am doing fabulous. I'm actually very excited about tonight's show. Thank you for
Yes,
asking.
it's going to be exciting.
And yes, it is. And we have What is True. How you doing, love?
I am well, thank you. Good to see everyone. Hello, chat, mods. Thank you for all coming.
And we have Sammy. Sammy, how you doing, love? Good to see you.
Hi, y'all. How's it going? I'm glad to be here.
Going great, going great. Okay, so tonight we are going to be talking about the Madeline Soto case, and we're going to be going over the new charges of Stephen Stearns. But first, I'd like to do a little bit of a recap on the Madeline Soto case. So the first thing was it was reported Madeline was reported missing um, by her mother and Stefan. They said that she was dropped off at school um, between 8:20 and 8:40, or I'm sorry, she was dropped off about a half mile from school around between 8:20 and 8:40 in the morning. Um, and then we had police telling us that they believed her to be dead in another press conference that she was deceased. And then we had um, her body was recovered. Um, and Stephen Stearns was arrested on um, child CSAM. He was arrested for having CSAM. And then we find out that mom actually lied in her incident report um, about seeing Madeline alive at 8 a.m. Whenever we now know that Stephen Stearns was throwing her belongings away at 7:35 a.m. And we've come to find out that that's most likely because she was already deceased at the time. So um, now Stephen has been charged with 60 more charges, and mother, rumor has it, has signed herself into a mental health facility under doctor supervision. But what we do know is that she has hired an attorney with funds from her deceased daughter's GoFundMe. So that's the recap that we have so far. And with that said, if it's okay with you ladies, I would like to start going over these charges a little bit. Is that all right with y'all?
Sounds
Or
good.
did,
Absolutely.
or was there anything y'all would like to add to the recap?
Nope,
I think that was really good.
me too.
Okay, well then let's pull this up. We are not going to read, whoops. We are not going to we are not going to read the detailed report of these charges. I would just like to point out that um oh, I did this backwards. Hold on a second. We're going to close that and pull this one up actually. Da, 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 da. Hmm. One moment, technical difficulty.
Well, I just want to mention that, when people look at these pages with these charges on there, we've got a few different things on there that, we need like the terminology for the FBI for a standard for what they consider, to be what. I'm going to leave it at that and let Regina finish that. And custodial authority, what does that mean? And lewd and lascivious acts, just as a basic, just to
Yes,
kind of go over what those really, what that looks like, what it means. That's it.
exactly. So if you'll focus on the screen right now, everyone, what we have are his charges broke down into four main groups. Um, we have, let me scroll in on this a little bit. There we go. Stephen Stearns, 60 charges. Charges 1 through 8. SEXUAL, battery on a child under 12, and that is a capital offense in the state of Florida. And then if we go down a little more, we have charges 9 through 13, SEXUAL, battery with a child 12 to 18 with familiar or custodial authority attached to that. And then, whoops, let me scroll back in on that. And then we have 14 through 20, lewd or lascivious, MOLESTATION, and that comes with a 25-year minimum mandatory sentence. And then we have 21 through 60, 21 through 60, unlawful possession of materials depicting SEXUAL performance by a child, 10 images or more. And in case y'all didn't know, that's 40 counts, 10 images or more, and that is over 400 images and videos combined.
Unbelievable.
Mm.
400 images. And if you'll notice, I would just like to point out something for everybody. 1 through 20 are all associated with Madeline. That means that only 20 of the 40 unlawful possession materials are not associated. Only 20 of them, of the unlawful possession materials depicted, are of Madeline. He was charged, the first 20 charges were for Madeline. That means only half of the material he had on his phone of the 400 images was Madeline that he was charged for. So he had 20 other 10 or more images. So 200 images or more were of other children. And some of them were for a child 5 years of age, if that tells y'all anything.
Oh, yeah. This man needs to be under the jail. Sorry. That's just the way it is.
I could
Extremely disturbing.
Yes.
Extremely disturbing.
I could not agree more. Absolutely disgusting. Disgusting. The man is a monster.
That is.
Okay, give me just 1 second. Need to pull something up. Um,
Now I'm curious what people think happened to Madeline to take her life. We know probably it was one of the two adults responsible for her safety.
It looked to me, by looking at some of the charges and the amounts of time, that uh, he's pretty much got a life sentence at this point, anyhow. From what some of the charges were, if in fact he were to be found guilty.
Okay, here we go. I've got it. Sorry about that. Let's see. Nope, and now we just did the wrong one. If I can get this pulled up right. There we go. And I would just like everyone to see the actual um, court filed documents from that real quick. And as you can see, 1 through 8 are the SEX UAL battery on a child under 12. And I'm not going to pull it up and show you all the dates because you guys, the information and the descriptions are awful. I can't even stomach reading them. But
Even
they
having
were
it as it is, how you have it there is mind blowing. Just the amount of crap he had on his phone. Sorry for the cussing.
no, I absolutely agree. But let me explain this to you. The abuse, the charges for Madeline started, the images in his phone that are correlating to these charges started June 19th of 2019. 2019. So go back 5 years. How old
Yep.
was Madeline?
Well, you're
8.
looking at maybe 8. Yeah.
Yep, she was 8 years old. And the abuse didn't stop. The last images he had of abusing her were February the 26th of 2024.
Just gets just mind blowing.
Mind blowing. And now, if you'll look at 9 through 13, you have um, SDX UAL battery with a child 12 to 18 associated with familial and custodial authority. And then we go to 14 through 20, and that is lewd or lascivious, MOLESTATION. Okay. And that is counts 14 through 20. And then we have counts 21 all the way to 60. Whoops. Unlawful possession of materials depicting SEXUAL performance by a child, 10 or more images. So we know there is a minimum of 400 images, okay? And charges 1 through 20 are all Madeline, and only 20 of the 40 unlawful possession charges are associated to Madeline. So the other 20 charges of unlawful possession of materials depicting SEXUAL performance by a child, 10 or more images, those are not Madeline. They're of they're of other children, and I've gone through this full document, and I'm not about to try to make y'all stomach it, but some of the images were of children 5 years old. You guys, 5 years old. This man is an absolute sicko. He is the epitome of evil.
I agree with that.
The epitome of evil. Um, Before we go any further, ladies, if it's okay, I would like to give a shout out. We have in the house with us, we have Midwest. Of course, we have Sammy on the panel.
Mhm.
We have Debbie Jackson listening from Tucson, Arizona. Welcome. We have Michelle Mouse. Hey girl, how you doing? We have Low 12. We have ND 317 Lat. We have Tamara. Hello, Tamara. We have Unaliving was the case that they gave me. I don't know who that is. But welcome. Welcome to Regina and Hollis Crime Chat. And we have Veganista. Yes, I agree. Completely. Absolutely. So welcome everyone. Glad that you all joined us today. Welcome to Crime Chat. Um and Now that with that said, I would like to show you guys the legal aspects and the legal definitions, if that's okay, of exactly what these crimes mean and what we're talking about. Or did y'all have anything else y'all wanted to add to that?
No, I'm
Mm,
ready.
I'm
I'm
all set.
Okay, let me pull it up.
Hello.
Is Regina's mic muted?
I think it
Of
might be.
course. Of course it is. I'm so sorry, ladies. Um, so charges 1 through 8. If the defendant committed SEX battery on someone younger than 12 or injured their reproductive organs, they commit a lifelong capital felony, which means that depending on the facts, the person can receive the death penalty or life in prison. Okay. Now, with the charges 8 through, which is that? 8, I'm sorry, 9 through 13. That means if the defendant committed SEX battery on someone 12 or older but younger than 18, the defendant committed a first degree felony, which is punishable up to life in prison. And then some people want to know what that means to have the extra added on to that of the familiar or custodial authority. And that means acquiescence to a person reasonably believed by the victim to be in a position of authority or control. Let's zoom in here. Whoops, not that big. Or control or authority. Wait a minute. Okay. Acquiescence to a person reasonably believed by a victim to be in a position of authority or control does not constitute consent and is not a defense that a perpetrator was not actually in a position of control or authority if the circumstances were such as to lead the victim to reasonably believe that the person was in such a position. And then a custodian. A custodian is someone who has custody of another. Custody connotes a duty or obligation to care for the other. Concerning a child, it usually implies that the person has some responsibilities in loco parentis. That means parental Uh,
like a parental to guidance type thing.
yes, thank you, thank you. And then what is lewd and lascivious behavior? Lewd and lascivious behavior is a legal term that refers to the offensive sexual conduct. Generally, lewd conduct involves touching the genitals, buttocks, or breast. Sexually. Touching may be with the intent to gratify oneself. Sexually, or arouse another person. That's what lewd and lascivious means. And then we have the last charges, which are, and lewd and lascivious was 14 through 20, and then 21 through 60 were, let's go back to this, unlawful possession of materials depicting sexual performance by a child, 10 or more images. And that one, you guys, I think it pretty much speaks for itself, but I'm going to read the legal guidance for it. A person is guilty of promoting a sexual performance by a child when knowing the character and content thereof he or she produces, directs, promotes, any performance which includes sexual conduct by a child. A person who violates this subsection commits a felony of the second degree punishable as provided by, and then it has the law codes, and everyone can see those if they'd like to go back to them themselves and look them up. I think it gives enough of the definition to not warrant going, deeper into details. What do you ladies think?
I
Yeah,
agree.
I
Yeah.
I think that sums it up. Yeah.
Right. Um, so, oh boy, where did I closed my notes window. Sammy, what do we have next on the agenda, love?
So I think we're asking our chat, what do you think happened to unalive Madeline Soto?
Yes, and this is where we get into um us discussing, or with the chat. Um, we know that the mother uh lied about seeing Madeline alive at 8 a.m. in her initial reports now, correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Yes.
So we have to assume, because Stefan was throwing Madeline's book bag away, that she had to be deceased by at least 7:35, right?
Well, that's what the cops are saying because they have a video of him throwing her stuff out in the dumpster at 7:35 a.m.
Right. So let's speculate for a minute here, ladies. What do y'all think happened to her? And we'll start off, Crystal, with you. What do you think? Let's hear your theory.
My theory is I believe that the mom um, either found something, um, opened her eyes. It was a jealous thing. It could have been an accidental, but I think that she confronted Madeline, and I think that they got into some kind of altercation. I'd be curious to find out if Madeline suffered from blunt force trauma, because for me, I can see that maybe she pushed her, she hit her head, and then because of what happened, she probably looked at Stefan and said, "You clean it up. You did this. This is all because of you. It's your mess." And I think that's where he stepped in. Just my opinion and totally speculation. But I also believe that she died either Sunday evening, like late 11, 12, or early morning, Monday morning. But I do believe she was dead before 7:30. And I think that the officers involved have video of her being brought to the car because they have the video of him throwing the laptop in such a way. So, and they have him coming back on video. That's just my opinion. That's all I got.
Well, I'm right there with you on that opinion. So, um, Char, what do you think?
Um, I have a little bit of a different spin on that, and that is that I wonder if mom came in to Madeline's room, and Madeline may have been up getting dressed or going to the restroom or whatever, and she noticed a possible uh, bulge, shall we say, in her daughter's tummy. I think she then confronted her about that. I believe the mother knew what was going on in that room, and she became enraged. And I believe that the mother probably either strangled her or suffocated her with a pillow. My problem with thinking she hit her head was there was no mention of blood when the police went through the house. And if she, and I, I believe most head wounds bleed pretty good. So I'm not sure on that one. On that part, could very well be, but that's just my opinion, and that's what I got.
Right on, right on. Uh, that's a very good theory, and it's a very plausible opinion. I mean, it's a plausible theory and a very good, possibility. Sammy, what do you think?
Well, I find it very hard to believe that mom didn't know this was going on, due to all the things we've seen about child protective services and stuff being involved in the past. Also, feel like this might have been an ongoing, growing contention as far as between the mom and Madeline and Stefan. And I really believe that maybe the dam broke. Like, what if Madeline gave them ultimatum? Because I feel like she very clearly wanted out of that situation, and it brought forth, a bunch of havoc that ended up taking her life. That's what I think. I don't know. I don't believe it was planned, but I don't know. All I know is there's no way mom didn't know in my mind, and I think it created an ongoing and growing situation. Very unfortunate for Madeline. I feel so bad for her.
Me too. Absolutely. Um, so what are you ladies thinking about this whole child ring of CSAM going around in Kissimmee right now? Do you guys find it uh coincidental that right after Stephen Stearns was arrested, all of these people are getting busted um right after in his neighborhood for CSAM?
I believe there was probably either Stefan said something and that's how the arrests were made, or there was the word got out that he had gotten arrested, and the others mm, maybe thought they might go to the police first and use him as the head guy in charge. I do believe that it's a great possibility anywhere in the United States at this time that this stuff is going on. The timing of this arrest of Stefan and the other child trafficking stuff that is going on in that area is coincidental to a point, and that's what I feel.
Just coincidental to a point, it could or could not be associated? Is
Yes,
that what you're saying? Okay.
yes,
Yeah, that makes sense. I can't, argue or agree with that either. I mean, I can't deny that that's a possibility. I can't argue with it or agree with it. Because, I mean, do we really believe in coincidences at all, though,
That's
whenever it
true.
comes to this? So, but I see your point, and that's a very valid point. Absolutely, Bryn Marshall. She didn't. Not at all. This poor girl. It's horrid, horrid. And so with that, I would just like to ask you, ladies. We know that Steven Stearns is a monster, but do y'all think he's a murderer?
I
I
find it
don't.
hard to believe that he's not, based on the information that was found on his phone, because that's the least of what we know. And that's a lot.
It is a lot. What do you think? What is true?
Um, Again, I think the mom killed her, regardless if it was an accident or a confrontation and it had been brewing. Um, because remember, she said in one of her interviews, "Well, we haven't fought," and that was unprovoked. That was a question that was unprovoked, or her answer was unprovoked. Um, I think that he was the cleanup guy, and she blamed him. She knew it was his mess, and he cleaned it up. I think that he is a very evil, deprived human being, a monster. Do I think he was possibly in some kind of ring? I don't I don't really see him being in like the head honcho of anything, but I think that I agree with Lo in the chat. I think if he is connected, it'll be by his phone and his computer. So, but I think the mom did it. I think the mom's the killer, in my opinion, and I'm only speculating.
Well, this is the thing I've come to understand about these kind of people. Um, Considering he had over 200 images, or at least 20 of those charges were not associated with Madeline on the images depicted on his phone of children. Having over 200 images that are not associated to Madeline tells me that he was getting that information somewhere. And these people go online and they form groups and they exchange this information and they even buy it from each other. So I have a hard time believing that he wasn't part of a ring, because otherwise, how did he obtain that material if he wasn't? You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
I agree.
I mean, that's just my opinion on it, but and it's what I've come to learn through my research and stuff on it. But I mean, that he had to have gotten those other images from somewhere that weren't of Madeline. Where did he get them if he wasn't part of a group that was exchanging and selling it back and forth, right?
Correct.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, that's how these guys work. It's their modus operandum, right?
Yes, it
It
is.
is.
Right, but that's where I have the hard time like getting the murder part in that, because I feel like oh, I don't know. I don't think he would have killed her. I don't, because she was his. He'd
Yeah, I
been
agree
working
with
on
you
her
there. I
and
think you're
grooming.
right.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I think you're right there.
So here's something. I wonder if you guys noticed it either. In the mother's interviews, and we can pull them up again if you want to, real quick. It's just something I want to chat about real quick if we can. In the mother's interviews, she never said Madeline's name. She disassociated herself as far away from her daughter's identity as possible. What do you guys make of that?
She also never once said, "I love you" or "I love Madeline." Never. She didn't say it. She didn't say, well, she showed us her present. She was happy. She went to bed. I said good night. And that was it. And then we find out, oh, I saw her the next morning. But not once did she say, I love Madeline. And I compare her reaction to like against like the Riley, the parents of Riley, the missing 22-year-old. Um, the reaction of those parents, they're out there on the riverbanks looking for their son. And the mom can't hold it together. There is nothing in this woman. She's empty. She's she's
Sociopathic?
well, I don't know. She's just there's nothing, no emotion, no feeling. I get no genuine anything about coming from her. I mean, I don't know. You know, I
Janine Simmons said yes. Mom seemed very disconnected. Yeah.
it's just nothing.
All right. Something else I noticed in the interviews. Sammy or Char, did y'all have anything y'all wanted to add to the mom being disconnected real quick before we move on?
I agree.
No.
She seemed totally disconnected. She didn't seem to be. She had a very affluent look on her face. It was matter of fact, rolling eyes when the bird was in the background. Got more reaction than she did speaking of what happened to her child. So yeah, I believe she's. I don't believe she cared. My opinion.
Well, at that moment in those interviews, wasn't this before Madeline had ever been found?
Yes.
Okay,
And act
so
and
I would have been hysterical. I don't know that I could have sat for any kind of interview
Mm-mm.
because I would have been desperate to find my child.
I certainly wouldn't be
Exactly.
absolutely.
sitting at home.
Well, here's my thing about it. Why would you not say one kind word about your child? Not only did she not say Madeline's name during any of her interviews, by the way, there were actually three interviews. There was also an interview the night she went missing. There was a Hispanic channel or a Latino channel that did an interview with mom, and she never said Madeline's name. She's never said Madeline's name in any of the interviews. None of them. And in any of the interviews, she's never said a kind word about Madeline. She thought Madeline was kidnapped, allegedly, according to her. Or at least that's the scenario I believe she was pushing off on us. Um, and she never once pleaded with the kidnappers to bring Madeline home. And she never once said, please, I love my daughter. She's a sweet, caring, all the things that we as parents would be saying to try and get the kidnapper to sympathize and humanitize our child to try to save their lives. Jennifer Soto never did that for Madeline. As a matter of fact, she did the opposite. She almost victim blamed, in my opinion, her daughter. My daughter's autistic. She should have went straight to school.
Yep.
Um, Madeline, she wouldn't have, like, she never said anything good about Madeline, but Stephen Stearns did. Do y'all find that wonky?
I think he
I
was
think
in.
he was totally in love with her. He was
Yeah.
totally in love with her.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
agree.
Enamored with her. That's what I think.
That's why I have a hard time believing that he would kill her.
Bing bong, right?
Yeah, I think that
He
he had
invested
such strong feelings for her, and then and the reference that the mother may have made to you did this goes back to my theory. You clean it up, meaning you get rid of it. Even if that was her thought process, and I'm not saying it is, I'm just speculating on it. I don't know that this type of relationship she had with her daughter ever was connected.
What do you think, Sammy?
Ask me again what you're asking. I thought I gave my input.
Oh, I'm
I have so much more.
You did. You did. You did. But Yes, elaborate further if you have so much more. Let's hear it, woman.
Well, honestly, I mean, what if I feel like truly, even to her last breath, that she wanted out of that situation. That's really what I believe. But I often wondered, had he tried convincing her that he was in love with her? Was he going to take care of her? I mean, did he give her all of this crap inside of her head to try to get it to where it could be just her and him living a life? Because I think he was so delusional that he believed he could do that. And I'm just was wondering. I mean, I think that she really wanted out of that. I really do. But I wonder, was she starting to lean in that direction and think about even having a life with him, and it maybe upset mom even more to think that they were being serious. I don't know. But all of these different things go through my mind. This was one big mind screw for this child, if you ask me.
Oh, yes. And if you look at Madeline from age 12 to 13, it's like she aged 10 years in one.
I
Um,
agree.
and from everything I've seen, from the images and stuff, it looks like she become a woman from age
Yes,
12 to 13. And that's often associated with precocious puberty. What do you ladies think on that? Do you think it's possible that she aged that much because she was forced into the position of a woman, so to speak? You know what I mean? Because she was being abused?
I
It
do.
does do something to you when you're that young and that kind of a thing happens to you. It totally deconstructs everything that you thought you were as a human being, and then you're faced with the reality. And this for her was the about the harshest reality a child could be facing.
I agree. I think it was absolutely the harshest reality a child could be facing. Crystal, what do you think?
Um, I I agree. I think she looks tired in her photos. Not like lack of sleep tired, but just tired. Like the weight of the world's been resting on her shoulders. And it's almost like she's had enough. You know, when I see her pictures, it's just, I agree. She's aged. She's definitely in the midst of puberty for sure. But it's just, it's sad. I feel so sad for this girl. Again, her mother put her in this situation to for this to happen, and then if she did know about it and let it go on, that's even another layer of vile and twisted. But you know, parents are supposed to protect their children and love their children and listen to their children, and I just don't feel that with this child, and I am so sorry that she never probably knew what the love of a mother was.
I agree. I
I
agree.
agree.
And
Yes,
that's sad because she deserved so much better than what happened to her.
beautiful child.
She deserved love. She deserved safety. She deserved respect, not to be dumped on the side of the road behind brush like garbage.
I'm very interested to see what kind of charges come up and when. I just cannot wait, honestly. I think we've got a video somewhere by Channel 2 News of a professor of forensic studies also speaking on the matter.
One thing that I kind of wanted to throw in there that I'm curious about, and a couple of people have asked me about, and that is there isn't much talk or um, rumor even as to where Jennifer worked and when did she clock in and when did she clock out on these, like the day before, the
We
day
don't
of, and the day after.
we don't know that
I
information, Char.
know. Yeah, I just think it's no. I was just saying that I think it's interesting that I haven't even heard
Heard.
anybody discuss it. Yeah.
right? If it's okay, I'd like to read a comment by Low 12.
Sure.
Very interesting, and that is also a possibility. I would like to respectfully read this because it could be a possibility. Low 12 said she was getting out of his possible age related attraction. She was developing into a young lady. May have been a turnoff for him. I mean, that's also a possibility, but I don't know if, like, yes, him being, I mean, he had images of 5-year-olds, you guys. That is a possibility I think that we all have to take into consideration. Wouldn't y'all agree?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Davy Jones says the boyfriend's performance in his interview only indicates he is more aware of what people wanted to hear. Yes. And we could
Well,
also say that exact same thing and imply it to Jennifer Soto now that we know she lied about everything, right? Would you agree with that, Davy Jones? I mean, what do you ladies think? Also, I mean, do y'all think that, um, according to the mother's performance, and now knowing she was lying about everything, um, do y'all think that indicated she was aware of what people wanted to hear, but just couldn't produce the emotion like we discussed?
Very possible.
Um, I I don't think she's capable of showing emotion because she's lacking emotion. So I think for her, she was probably being herself,
Hmm.
in my opinion. I just don't find her very emotional with in any aspect. Just my opinion.
I kind of think she almost acted um excited about being interviewed. She almost seemed like she was had made up a scenario and was going to follow it to the T. And I believe that possibly Stefan and her had put that scenario together because their stories were quite similar, or what they had to say to the people who were interviewing them.
Yes. Char, I'd like to go a little bit further with that if you don't mind.
No.
Um, in their interviews, they kept saying we. Both of them kept saying
Mhm.
we. And is that where you're saying that you feel like that they had conspired together the plan of what to say? Is that what you're saying?
Um, no, I think she got confused there, or a slip of the word kind of thing. I think that they may have discussed something like, "Oh, this is what we're going to say, and you be sympathetic to me." And I'm going. She may have said, "This is just allegedly." She may have said something to the effect of, "You feel really sorry." Speaking to Stefan, you feel really sorry for the whole thing and be really emotional about it because I can't.
Right.
And he agreed.
Right. Another comment by Davy Jones I'd like to read. Kids depend on their parents to make sense of things. So she was likely raised with a warped sense of sexuality. Um, what do you ladies think of that? I tend to agree with that.
Um, I think that kids do depend on their parents. And I also believe that the parent in this situation dropped the ball. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that Madeline was a smart girl. And I would like to say that the only emotion I saw was when she was discussing Madeline's possible autism. diagnosis, but I feel like Madeline, when I see photos of her, like I said, she seems older and tired. And I just feel like she was probably standing up for herself because she knew what was happening was wrong and she was finding her voice, like Sammy said. So I don't know. I think the mom dropped the ball.
I do too. I agree with that, Crystal, wholeheartedly. Another good comment. And yes, I agree, Marcy, I agree with that. In the videos, she's got a little bit of a pudgy tongue, and
Yes.
yes, she does. I agree with that. Um, Also, back to what I was going to say about Davy Jones again said she is developing her own sexuality. Girlfriends start talking about cute boys, etc. Do y'all remember in the interview, mom said that she had developed a crush on a boy?
Hmm. I do.
Very good observation, Davy. Y'all do remember that? What do y'all think about that? Do you think that it's a possibility if she wasn't pregnant? Um, do y'all think it's a possibility that her becoming interested in another boy or becoming interested in boys, period, maybe talking to a boy? Do you think that the mother and Stephen might have felt threatened that they were going to be exposed because she would tell anyone that she became emotionally attached to?
Absolutely.
I agree. I definitely think that Madeline was would I from what I've heard and read, she was trying to tell people what was going on. So I think that, yeah, she would have confided, but I also don't see Madeline telling her mother and Stephen that she thought a boy was cute either.
I agree with you. What's true?
Kel, I completely agree with you. All a child knows is adoration. They can't connect the physical relationship yet. They rob them of that. I agree with that. And I agree with you, ladies, too. Completely. Absolutely.
One of the things that I thought was interesting on one of the interviews, or a picture of an interview, was that Jennifer was consoling Stefan instead of the other way around. That really spoke volumes to me. How about you, Sammy? Did it to you as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's something else interesting I want to chew on real quick before we get into the other segment, which is going to be the call-ins, right, Sammy?
We have a 2 minute and 12-second video with a professor of forensic studies.
Oh my goodness. And where did I put that? Because I didn't pull that up yet. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. I missed one thing.
Let me see here.
Did you send it to me in DMs?
Probably.
Let me check real quick. Okay, I'm not seeing it.
All right. Well, move on.
Is it in mods, maybe?
I don't know.
Hold on a second. We're going to find it. We are going to find it. Maybe. Maybe. Oh, yep. Nope. We are not going to find it. Wait, maybe we are. Let's see here.
How's the Jeopardy song go? Dun 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 dun
Da,
I'm
da,
dun.
da,
sorry.
da, da, da,
Oh
da,
no.
da, 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 da. Yep, and I'm done doing that now. And my face is blood red, and I'm a little embarrassed to be quite honest with you.
Oh, don't be, because I'm gonna pull it up for you. It is I'm trying to remember the man's name. It was just a very short video of David Thomas. Let me get this typed in and I'll see if I can't retrieve it for you.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You guys, I don't know if y'all heard anything about it, but the Jonathan Lee Hayes and Shamika Zakoya Hayes case out of Utah. Oh my goodness. If that just don't go to show, for all of you that want to Google it, and we're going to talk about this on our next live. If that just doesn't go to show you what a mother is capable of doing,
Mm.
I mean, it's just, and stepdad, or is that father? I don't know. But if that doesn't show you how evil a mother can really be whenever it comes to this CSAM and PEDMO stuff, you guys, oh my goodness. And it's going to be it's worse. It's even a bigger trigger warning than Madeline Soto when we start talking about that case. Sorry, I was looking at the reports for that, looking for the link, and was just like, yeah, that's that's proof right there of how awful a mother can really be to her own child. Sammy, did you send that to me in DMs yet?
Yep, it's right there. Should get it any second.
There we go. Thank you so much. Let's we're gonna present that. I think this is it.
And he just gives his own brief summary and I guess an analogy or an opinion. Just saying.
Suspect in Madeline Soto case will face life in prison or death penalty. Okay, let's watch this real quick.
OUC was created a century ago to
Well, actually, let's watch a commercial first.
empower Orlando's.
We'll stop sharing the screen till it quits. Just we'll give it a second.
Hey, cleaner, greener ride. Woohoo. Yeah. Well, by no means is he getting away with anything, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Jail if convicted of the 60 new.
There we
Stephen
go.
Stearns will never get out of jail if convicted of the 60 new charges filed against him this week.
Yeah, that is what a former officer turned professor says about the lead suspect in 13-year-old Madeline Soto's death. Well, she's Megan Mulatto found out why there is still no charge specifically for her death.
No matter what, he's not getting out of jail.
Professor of Forensic Studies at Florida Gulf Coast University, David Thomas, says if Stephen Stearns is convicted, he will never see a day outside a jail cell.
Originally, they charged him, I think it was 1 or 2 charges in the very beginning. And that's fine because they got him off the phone. And so now what they've done is they've done a complete forensic analysis. There's no doubt in my mind that's exactly what they did. And he has recorded almost every incident that he had.
Stearns is the lead suspect in the death of 13-year-old Madeline Soto. He was arrested for several charges, including sexual battery with a child, after detectives found pictures and videos on his phone. Then they found more evidence, leading the state attorney's office to file 60 new charges against him Monday, including 40 counts of unlawful possession of materials depicting sexual performance by a child and 8 counts of sexual battery on a child under 12. The charges, enough to be sentenced to life in prison if convicted.
Capital felonies means that he'll face life, he'll be in prison for life. And there's no doubt in my mind they have the evidence to secure, to make those charges, they have the evidence to support that.
Thomas says now the question is life in prison or the death penalty if Stearns is charged with Madeline's murder. He says there's likely already enough circumstantial evidence to charge Stearns with murder, but he thinks detectives with Kissimmee Police want to make sure their case is sealed.
Is give law enforcement and give the medical examiner's office an opportunity justice is served and served properly.
In Kissimmee, Megan Mulatto, WESH 2 News.
Thank you, Regina. Thank you for that.
Very informative.
Well, he summarized it really well.
Yes, he did.
Can I speak on that?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's honor among thieves. So in prison, if he's out in general population, I'm assuming that he will die 1,000 deaths before he takes his last breath. And
Oh, yeah.
with that, I hope that he is in so much pain and screams and hollers and I know that makes me a bad person for saying that, but for what he did to Madeline and anybody else that is on his phone and there's evidence, he he deserves that. That's all I'm gonna say, in my opinion.
You're not alone in this feeling. Trust me. You're
Yeah,
not alone in this.
I agree.
Not at all. I'm right there with you, Low 12. I completely agree.
Can
Completely
I
agree.
add a little something here that just came up through my mind? Do you suppose that, or is there a possibility you think that um, she becoming a young lady uh, came to that point of having um, monthly issues, and that could have been not appealing to Stefan, and the two of them allegedly could have conspired, or he did, or she did, because of that. What do you think? What is true?
Phew. Um, I mean that's a good possibility. It really is. Um, but I mean Madeline looks a lot like her mother, like the
Yes, she
younger
did.
version of her mother, which is it's almost uncanny, the
Mhm.
resemblance. Um, and I wonder if she, with the history of things that he was, let's say, into, if she was also into those things, but I I don't know. It, I I'm left speechless by this whole thing. It leaves me speechless because I just don't understand it. And I don't understand why some people conceive children because they shouldn't, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
I do too. I do too.
And Regina, this might be a question for you because you're so knowledgeable about the law and stuff. The only thing I heard was that Stephen consented and gave his phone to the police officers. Um,
Yes.
so can that information be used, or since there wasn't a search warrant, will
Oh,
it hold up
absolutely.
in?
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. It will 100% hold up in court. He
Yep.
said, here's my phone. Oh, I accidentally factory reset it the day she disappeared,
Right,
February the 26th.
right. Yeah, I just was curious about that.
Wait a minute. You guys, you guys, the
Yep.
last charge, the last images of Madeline Soto that Stefan had on his phone that were CSAM were February the 26th.
Oh my gosh.
I just realized that. What day did she go missing, you guys?
The 26.
Makes me nauseous.
I have the documents. I won't pull them up because they are absolutely awful. And I'd have to read some really nasty stuff. You'd see some really nasty stuff in order to see it. But the last of
Well,
the
it some
charges were
at
February on the CSAM. Images of Madeline,
yeah.
bad images, child abuse images We're February the
Would this
26th on his
would this
phone.
be would this be a good time to let everyone know that they can call in?
Oh yeah, it would. If let me go ahead and get that started. Hold on a second. We'll go ahead and get that started. We want to know um what you guys think. So we have if my lovely mods would be willing to put the number in the chat, I would be so appreciative. And that is exclamation mark call in if y'all forgot it because it's kind of new. So we know now that Stefan Stearns had images, CSAM images of Madeline, February the 26th of 2024. Now we don't know what time um, he recorded those images, but we know that he had them on that date.
That's makes me nauseous. Now it takes on a whole new outlook.
It absolutely does. So the call in number is 870-266-6949. We'd like to know what you guys think. Give us a call and call in. And we're going to have an open panel discussion with whoever decides to call in. Looking forward to it. But back to what I was saying, there's something else too. 9 or 10 months ago, Stefan Stearns made a Reddit post in which he talked about the person that loved him or whatever should trust him. And we know at that time that he used Jennifer Soto as his ex in that phone call or in that message. I'm thinking about call-ins. So if Jennifer and Steven were separated, why was Stephen, whatever that idiot's name is, um, why was he still having like parental custodial um interactions with her, taking her to her birthday party while mom was at work and stuff? Why was that going on? What do y'all think?
Because he was staying as close to her as he could. He didn't want to lose her. That's, you know, and the
Let me
mother. What were you going
let
to
me
say?
let me rephrase that. Why was mom still allowing it?
Oh, um, I, the hell I know. I'm sorry. I don't understand her. I don't. She is the
I don't either.
coldest. She's like a cold. I mean, I've seen dead fish with more personality than that woman.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure.
So I really, I, I find her sickening, and that again is my opinion. But I, she either was part of it, or I don't know. I don't know. I can't speak on it. I'm just. Mm. Sammy, what do you think?
Well, honestly, I think the mother is what they call a silent partner. Um, and these are partners who are allowing the abuse. They're aware of it and they're allowing it. And they enable the situation by being supportive. And I think that their little family structure there, whatever she had going on, she wanted to keep it that way. And I think that's why this continued like it has. And I don't care if that woman suffered abuse in her lifetime and it's trickling down. I don't care. Everybody knows right from wrong.
That's
And I'm
true.
sorry, but when you hit that moment where You're not only not helping the children of society, but you're not even helping or protecting your own child. I'm sorry, I'm washing my hands of you, and whatever it takes for me to protect the children in my society, I'm going to do. So I do not understand why this carried on for so long. I have no idea, but it just doesn't make any sense to me other than this was her choosing. This was of her choosing.
Yeah, she chose to accept it or chose to ignore it, but she chose not her daughter. She did not choose her daughter.
Nope.
I think she chose everything but her daughter.
Yep.
I think that it was absolutely sickening seeing her hug and comfort
Mm.
Stephen Stearns. I was absolutely.
So do you think can we say anywhere in any of those interviews that there was what I would like to call an embedded confession? It's kind of you know, because I was stuck on we. She kept saying we, and at one point in there deviated from that, saying it wasn't me, it was him. So what does that even mean? I mean, like I'm seriously picking apart every single word they have said. And I just feel like in those interviews there's embedded confession.
You might very well be right, Sammy. Good point.
Yeah, that is a very good point. A very good point.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you guys think now we know that these charges 1 through 8 are capital, which means he can be put to death for them. But where are the murder charges? Where are the homicide charges? I mean, really, if you think about it, why not? If they have him in the vehicle with her at 8:19 and she's deceased and they know that from the video, why has he not been charged with her homicide? I mean, they have enough evidence, don't they?
I think for sure they do.
So why would they not have charged him with that?
There may be more details that they have all lined out through confessions. You don't know. There could be a whole lot more. I mean, like a whole lot more that we don't know about, and we may not find out until stuff starts coming out in court.
Now, I completely agree with what Low 12 said. She said Davy Jones. I agree, and Davy Jones said it too that they are hunting down Pidmo Momos, child Momos. Um, but here's the thing: does that prevent them from charging Stefan with the homicide? I mean, if he's already looking at capital charges with the first 8, I mean, he could be put to death just for that. So if he is talking and giving names in a child CSAM ring, then what prevents them from adding that extra charge that could be a death penalty on there? I wouldn't assume anything would. What would y'all say?
Oh no, a child was murdered. There's no way in the world this is going prosecuted.
Or do you think I mean, let's go back to the mother for just a second here. She refused to let them search the home for any clue of where Madeline might be. So, what was she hiding? She said she saw
Exactly.
Madeline. Right. What is true?
I said
Right?
exactly. Absolutely. What is she hiding?
I mean, I don't care if I got dirty dishes in the sink and a pile of laundry in the floor. If my kid's missing, I'm going to let anybody come in and look through anything in my house to see if they can find any kind of clue where my kid is. What about y'all?
Oh, you
Agree.
could tear my house down
Absolutely. Yep.
board
Yep.
by board.
Bored.
Mhm.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I would assume from a parent that loved their child. I know I love my kid, and you could, I mean, exactly. You could take my house apart brick by brick, board by board, strip it down to the bare bones to nothing but a frame, and then tear that down too if you think you can find my kid. But why did Jennifer Soto refuse the search warrant? And I heard some people say, well, that's because Stephen was on might have been the person that was on the lease. Actually, the lease was completely in Jennifer Soto's name, and Stephen was not on the lease. So why did she? Why did she force the police to get a search warrant to come in and look for any clues as to where her daughter might be?
Because
The
she's
story
guilty.
stayed.
Buying time.
Her
Buying
guilt.
time. I mean, they had to put police officers at the front and back door to keep anybody from entering or leaving to dispose of any kind of material or anything after she refused the search warrant.
Yeah, and I think they did, but I think anything that needed to be out of the house, let's say a blanket with possible blood, any of those things were thrown out with the laptop in the backpack. And so even if they still had to clean something up, she could have been buying time, like Sammy said. But I think she didn't let him, because there's no innocent mother that walks this planet that would not allow them in her home to. And it goes back to
Right.
her mannerisms in her interview. There's nothing there. She feels nothing for her daughter, in my opinion.
Davy Jones says, in my opinion, Jen refused the search warrant because she knew Maddie had died in the house. And I don't doubt that one bit.
I
Agree.
agree.
I completely concur. Absolutely. Um well, we already know that the mother lied about seeing Madeline alive at 8 o'clock. So I would have to assume, I mean, the fact that she wouldn't let them in right there kind of speaks for itself with everything. Once you find out that mother lied from her initial report, the very first time she interacted with police reporting her daughter missing, she lied. And we know that because the police have come out and said, no, we have video. We know Madeline was dead at 7:35. So mom lied from her first initial report, and then she refuses to let them in the house. But also, if you go back and look over the mother, yeah, right. Um, if you go back and look at Jennifer Soto's and Stephen Stern's statements, between the two of them, they collaborated that Stephen didn't stay the night there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because he had to leave his place to come pick Madeline up from school.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. I just question the whole where he was this entire time overnight. And did he even go anywhere and stay anywhere overnight? Did he come back and forth? My mind goes nuts trying to figure that out because I don't believe any of them.
I agree, Sammy. I don't think he left that house. I think he was there all night, in my opinion, just because when she's doing her interview and she says, well, she showed us her presents. She went to go get ready for bed. She didn't take her laptop. She didn't take her phone. She was happy and she said goodnight. And when she said that word, well, she showed us. So it goes back to we did it. We did it. I don't think she has any credibility, in my opinion.
Yep.
I agree with you.
Well, now looking back on everything, we know that both of them, all of their statements were lies. All of them.
Sure seems that way.
So at this point, I'm just wondering, allegedly mom is in a a mental health facility where she's basically untouchable. You realize that, right? Because she's under watch and a physician's care, right?
Right.
So she's
But
untouchable as far as being served with a warrant for her arrest, and she's in a lockdown facility for mental health. Okay, but she admitted herself there, so she can check herself out at any time, allegedly. Um, is it going to be as soon as mom steps out, as soon as she's released? Are there going to be police officers waiting outside for her? Hey, Fetty, shout out to you, brother. I'm so glad that you joined us, Fetty. It's good to see you.
I
We
think
have a
they'll be
call in.
there.
We have a call in number, you guys. If y'all would like to call in, the phone number is 1-870-266-6949. We would really like to hear from you. And with that, let's just get right back into the conversation. Sorry, Crystal, you were saying?
Go ahead. It slipped me.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
No, no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no. That's fine. No, no problem, Regina. None at all. I was probably spouting off about something I already spouted off, to be honest with you. This case it's just so frustrating. Oh, I know what it was. Yes, I do think that they will be there with some nice shiny handcuffs for Jen. And her insurance will only last so long for her to stay protected behind those locked doors before she goes to another set of locked doors, in my opinion.
Yes, that's exactly what I think. And also, um, I think that's the only reason she hasn't been charged at minimum with felony, um, what's it called? Obstruction of justice. Felony obstruction of a capital in a capital case.
Now, can I ask you guys a question? The three of you?
Yes.
Now, where she's been arrested, well, not arrested, sorry. See, I'm a presumpting. Um, where she lawyered up and she was given the gun GoFund money. Um, Now, is it possible she will use that for a defense attorney, or
That's
and how do
actually
you
what that's actually what she did.
feel about that, each of you?
I I'll let you ladies answer first. Sammy and Char.
I'll let Char go.
I think that the lawyer told her to check herself in, my opinion. She lawyered it up. He told her to check herself in, stay in there as long as you could, uh, to start the thought process of an insanity plea. I think that possibly they're waiting for Stefan to either slip up or own up to something that he may know, so that when she does get out of there, if she checked herself in and she can get out whenever she wants, she's gonna stay in there for as long as she possibly can. Uh, she's more or less making a plan and giving her attorney time to put together a defense for her. But I do agree that when she comes out, she's got those shiny cuffs that what is true said about waiting for her. And I
Yep.
believe that Stefan will give it up before then.
I think Stefan is already in there singing like a little, you know what.
Yeah,
God
yeah.
forgive me for saying I didn't say it, but God forgive me for thinking it. Um, I think that Stefan is already in there singing like a little birdie, and I think that's exactly why Stefan has not been charged with homicide.
Could very well be.
And Davy Jones, I would like to address that real quick. There was a 70-year-old guy known for resembling and playing Santa and his 50-plus-year-old son who were running a CP operation. Yes, I do believe his name was James Cox. And his son, his name started with an H. What was it? Was it Henry? Henry
Henry.
Cox?
Henry.
Yes, Henry Cox. Um, this arrest of AKA Evil Santa, we'll call him Evil Santa because he's not Santa. Um, Evil Santa was lived very close to Stephen Stearns and was actually arrested after Stefan's phone. That's a little coincidence we were talking about earlier, Char.
Yes.
Yes. But his son Henry unalived himself. Not unalived himself, we're not gonna say that. Harmed himself to the point of fatality before they got raided. Like they knew it was coming. And I'm just gonna say, I can't show it to you guys, but Stephen Stearns made some phone calls
Yes, he
from
did.
jail. And I have those receipts. I know who he called. And let me just tell you something. He called such and such and let them know they were coming.
Yep.
That phone number on that list belongs to someone
Speaking
in
of
that neighborhood. In the neighborhood.
speaking of phone numbers, who's going to be our first call in? Come on, somebody call in. Join the conversation.
We want to hear what you guys think.
Do we know? Because I keep hearing conflicting information on exactly how far Maddie was found from her place of residence.
I believe it was 48 miles or 48 minutes. That's what we heard.
You know
Because
what?
I heard between 20 and 30 miles from her home.
Yeah.
I don't exactly remember. However, I do know that she was found only 60 feet from the highway, from the roadway.
Mhm.
And it was where an anonymous tip came in that they had seen Stephen Stern's car with a flat tire right there. And I've come to believe that that was not initially where he was going to dispose of her at. I think that the flat tire was just bad luck for a bad dude, karma. And I think that he panicked having her in the car unalived or um, homicided. Um, I think that he panicked and just thought someone might pull up and try to help him or something and put her in the brush. And I don't remember who gave me that theory, but yeah, that's what I think too.
Can
So,
I can I say something? I think,
absolutely.
do we really know that the flat tire was really a thing and it wasn't just a ruse? So
Right.
if his car was parked on the side of the road and he was bringing her down, he had an excuse to say he had a flat tire if somebody stopped.
Hmm.
Excuse me. Right.
And I wonder, was that where he stopped, exactly where he dropped her, or was it further down the road?
That's exactly where he dropped her, was where he had the flat tire.
Oh my goodness.
Like, but that would make me believe not only is Stephen Soto I mean Stephen Soto, Lord forgive me, Stephen Stearns. That means not only is he an absolute monster, but he's also an absolute moron and completely criminally incapable with where he left her deceased on the side. I mean, just 60 feet from the road. It's almost like he wanted her to be found, wouldn't y'all say?
Yeah, because he covered her with straw. That's not very good coverage.
I mean, he just literally covered her up with grass, leaves, and just whatever was laying around.
Is it fair to say that that would indicate he wanted her to be found? I
That's
mean,
what
it's
I'm
pretty
saying.
obvious. Yeah.
And why was the mother pushing the narrative that she was kidnapped if she was already if she had already been murdered by 7:35? Why was the mother trying to push the kidnap narrative? And why did she say that she saw her alive at 8 a.m.? I mean,
Be-
just
because that fits with the placement of her body.
Mm.
Because they'll find her and assume that she was kidnapped. That's why I think they went with that narrative to take the heat off of themselves, in my opinion.
Good point. Wow. Yep.
the Betty Boop said, in my opinion, both were profiting for at least 2 years, and maybe someone paid a little extra or 13th birthday with some kind of right of advancement. Um, I think I see what you're. I think I'm picking up what you're laying down there. Um, maybe because now we do have this association with the ring, if you will. Um, what does that mean? Like maybe she was being sold. Do you think that's possible? Do you think they were trafficking her?
Are you asking us?
Yeah,
Um, I think maybe he was exchanging photos and videos for possible other videos, but I don't think he. I think in his mind she was his.
I agree.
property.
Do we know what time the flat tire happened? Sharon Ostrander is asking.
Oh my goodness, I don't know. Allegedly, in Stephen Stern's own statements, he was home by I believe 2:30. So, and if it was 48 minutes away, I would assume about 48 minutes from around 2:30, 2:40. Because in his initials, of course, we don't know what was lies now, really, because it was all lies. But then they say there's a little truth in every lie. So, I mean, his cell phone records will show all of that. But I think that's almost debatable because we don't know exactly what time that call was made. The it was an anonymous tip, and we don't have that information yet that I know of.
Well, I'm interested to see um, when and where we're going to see charges on the homicide itself. I'm really can't wait. I want to see charges, and I'm trying to be patient. I'm trying, but I really want to thank you, Regina. You did a good job laying this out for us. I think
Absolutely.
that we keep it we keep it just seems like the more we go over the same stuff we already have, the more different things start to hit my brain about information and what it really is. And so I'm just like, now I'm ready. I'm ready for them to push this forward, and I want to see some charges for this homicide.
Sammy,
Also,
did you think it was um, interesting or sick, whatever, when mother actually, when Jennifer actually seemed to chuckle a bit when she said that her daughter had autism and tends to forget things? And she kind of chuckled in that interview.
Well, you
I,
know what's so sad is I have a child who's now an adult who was that way, who did have issues like that, and I didn't find it at all humorous. It
Mm-mm.
was something that used to bother me all the time when my daughter would forget her phone because it scared the ever loving mess out of me that she wouldn't be able to contact someone if she needed help. So I just I could not jive with her mom with anything she had to say, and I really found her mannerisms and her behavior and her thought process to be offensive, in my opinion.
agreed.
I agree.
I agree too. Um, so with that being said, um, there was one more thing I wanted to come back to. Why did the mother, of all things to lie about, was it that she was lying about everything, so she also lied about what Madeline was last seen wearing? Or, I mean, what was the purpose? Why was Madeline dressed in blue jeans whenever they found her? But the initial report says black pants, black shorts, I'm sorry.
Can I comment?
Absolutely.
I think because, I mean, we're going on the assumption that he got rid of her body. And if maybe he covered her and put the jeans on her because he didn't want that part of her shown in some twisted thinking of his. I don't know. That's just a guess for me. I don't know why she would lie about it though. It makes absolutely no sense. None.
Exactly. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Well, unless the last time Jennifer saw her, that's what she had on. And then somehow or another, if there was some sort of a photo taken on the 26th, Jennifer hadn't seen her since the night before, possibly. And that's what she had on because she said the last time she was seen, not the last time I saw her, but the last time she was seen, she had on black shorts and a green hoodie. Um,
Actually, actually, Char,
yeah,
what she said was she witnessed her daughter get dressed for school at 8 a.m. and she was wearing a green sweatshirt, black shorts, white, I do believe it was Crocs, and she was carrying her book bag.
mm, my misunderstanding.
Right.
Davy
But
Jones is saying perhaps last Jen saw her, she was naked and she didn't actually know what Stefan had dressed her in,
Yep,
which leads me to I want to make another comment. Let's get real here. We know he had the access to her last. So there's no telling what she left the house in and what he ended up doing. There's no telling how she ended up in jeans if she really was wearing something else. Knowing his sick, perverted mind, what did he do to her?
absolutely.
right, Sammy, but that brings us back to Mom said she saw Madeline getting dressed at 8 a.m. But we
Oh, yeah.
know from the what the police have told us that's literally impossible.
Yep. Yep.
Well, we know she's not credible.
So
And
was
if you think
Madeline
about this, when I tell you I'm picking every word apart, I'm not lying. I'm telling you right now, for the fact that she mentioned she saw her getting dressed and this is what she was wearing when she was last seen, by who? She leaves it open ended and leaves you to assume that she is saying she saw her wearing those things. It's an assumption, it's not a fact.
That's true.
well, she actually says I witnessed Madeline getting dressed for school. And then she says Madeline was dressed in her
Yep.
statement. That's her statement.
But
But
knowing how what she was found in verifies that was an absolute lie.
exactly, it was a
Agreed.
bold-faced lie because she never saw Madeline getting dressed
Nope.
at 8 a.m. because we now know Madeline was already deceased at 7:35.
Yep.
And Stefan had now, if that's the case, if mom really did see Madeline getting dressed at 8 a.m., you guys, that puts her in the apartment awake when Madeline died.
Uh-huh.
because Stefan was seen with Madeline in the car at 8:19 returning to the apartment. And we don't know what he did between 7:30 and 8:19. I mean 7 after 7:30 between 7:35 and 8:19.
But I think that Madeline was dead before 7:30 at least because he threw her backpack out. And in the press conference, the cop or the sheriff said, um, we believe that she was moved in the early morning. And I guess that's kind of on how you think of early morning, a personal perception of that. But I feel like, so when she said she saw her get dressed at 8, she was already dead. We know that.
Mm.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So maybe she got dressed by Stefan. She saw her
Mm,
getting dressed by Stefan.
Or, again, going back to my theory, if she killed her, allegedly, and told him, this is your mess, clean it up.
Yeah.
this is your fault. You clean it up because if you don't, I'm going to tell everybody what's in your phone. And also, I would just like to take a quick vote in chat of all of our ladies, if you don't mind. How many ladies in here have ever dated someone and had suspicions that they were doing something in reference to that? Um, we do know that 10 months ago, Stephen Stearns made a post about it's pretty bad whenever the person you love doesn't even trust you, yada, yada, yada. Um, with that in mind, how many women in chat, I did, I'll admit to it first, have ever gone through their significant other's phone just to alleviate or verify their own suspicions? Can I get a one in chat from all the women who have? I'm just curious. Seeing ones, one, two, one.
So at this point, I kind of want to talk to our listeners. You know, some people have been fortunate enough not to have experienced any of this in their lifetime as a child. But I want to say that everyone in society, you might be one child's only hope, even if you are a stranger, to try to help them. If you suspect something is happening, please find a way to report it. Find a way to help rescue that child, because honestly, I'm noticing now, rather than leaving victims, people are taking the lives of these children. So there isn't a witness and there's nothing, and then they go down for murder. I want to see more children in the world who end up out in public. If you, I'm sorry, but I am going to say it. If you even suspect something, please report it. Go to the links we're going to provide to you. Go find out how to report it, because honestly, you know, we really, really need people out there to start stepping up. I know when I was a child and I had my own experiences, I would have given anything for someone to notice and to help me out of the situation I was in, because I was too afraid to tell anybody anything. I was a kid, nobody was going to believe me, and I knew this. The very few people I did try to talk to, I didn't even have the words to say what happened to me because I didn't know what it was called. So I'm speaking to everyone out there who's an adult. You have the common sense to know something isn't right. You know, I want you to go to some of the links that we provide from time to time because I want you to learn to understand how it is that you can help. There's too many children out there that are being abused, and they're never going to say a word to anyone because they're scared to death. And their only hope is that someone is going to rescue them. And it never happened for me. And I got lucky, I got help, and I've been functioning in society very well. But I just want the world to know these children out here need us. I don't care who you are. If you suspect anything, go learn how to help a child, please. Please.
Amen, Sammy. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for saying that. Um, I know it's not easy to talk about things that happen to us a lot of times in childhood, and I just want you to know you're a very brave person and a brave soul, and I appreciate you sharing your story, and because it really does help others to know that there is hope and that I don't know how to say this right.
I just want everyone to know that these children really are praying to God that someone's going to save them. They really are. And for some of them, it never comes. And then they die over it.
How many more children have to be lost, right? How many more children do we watch disappear and be found on the side of a road or in a ditch or at the bottom of the river? Which is why I highly agree with Florida's capital punishment for what Steven Stearns did. I think that I think that they I think that Florida's way of looking at it and their harsher punishment is the way to go with all of it. I do believe to some degree that punishment can also provide a reason for someone not to do it. What's that called? What's it called whenever the punishment is so severe that it negates people from committing the crime? Deterrent. I think that the capital punishment in this case um, is a very good deterrent, and I hope that they do give him the death penalty for what he did because he is never going to stop hurting anyone if he is let back out into society. And at this point, he is a burden to the people of Florida and to everyone in America. Um, if he's put in the prison system to live his life out there. Um, and let's face it, if he gets the death penalty, it will be 20, 30 years before he's executed, which is plenty of time for him to suffer before he is sent to meet his maker and be judged. Wouldn't y'all agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Aw, bye, Kel Kel. We love you. Right, Sharon? I completely agree. I wish more states would fall in line with Texas on that because these people do not, they're not one time offenders. It's never a one time offense. And once they think they've gotten away with it the first time, they only escalate and get worse. What do you think, Sammy?
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. These are people with disease, and it's not curable, and it's never going to get better. It gets worse.
Only gets worse.
Uh-huh.
Only gets worse. To the point of we don't know who exactly murdered this poor, beautiful little girl, but to the point that children end up lost, found on the side of the road, covered in brush, right at the bottom of rivers, or never seen again, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So, once again, you guys, we would love to have some call-ins. That would be so amazing. I'm just saying. Um, we'd love to hear from you guys and hear what your opinions are on this case. Um, so we're just hoping to hear from you guys. And if not, we're gonna go ahead and I think call it pretty soon.
I think
Completely
we
agree,
done good.
Loco.
I think we done good today, and I understand if you're not comfortable calling in yet, that's fine. Um, but I really, think that this is going to be good for us to be able to help get other people's opinions out there, you know.
Me too. Um, Also, very soon we will be going over the Haynes case. And that is going to elaborate a little bit further into what kind of evil parents are capable of. Actual parents are capable of. And because I know everyone, there's still people that are thinking maybe that Jennifer Soto was just upset and she's hurt through all this and she wasn't a willing participant. But I'm sorry to say it, there are mothers out there that actually abuse their children with the offender. That happens. And in our next live, we're going to be covering it. Oh, hold on a second. We got a phone call.
Call from Regina. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Hi, welcome to Regina and Hollis Crime Chat. You're live. 382, we're talking to you.
Hi, I'm calling in. I had just wondered how many of the other kids that were on his phone were ever going to come forward. Like, how are they going to come forward without them knowing, without their parents knowing?
Ooh, that is a very good question, caller. May I ask who I'm speaking to first name?
My name's Regina.
Oh, that is so awesome, Regina. That's awesome. I'm sorry, I'm excited. I hardly ever hear
I
our name.
actually thought of that too. I also was wondering
It's
that
just
myself.
that's got me so
Yeah.
frustrated right now. I want to jump through the TV, listen to you guys, and I know there's so many other children that were involved in that case that they aren't able to speak because they're only 3 and 5 years old, like you're speaking of, and how will their parents talk to them?
Sorry, you broke up for just a second there, hun. Can you repeat that, Regina?
I said, you know how you're speaking of there was like 5 year old and his and how many of those children are going to be able to come forward and speak because maybe they're only 5 years old and don't know yet, and how are their parents going to know that they're in his phone?
I am willing to bet you that the law enforcement and the investigators have a lead on who these children could be to try to get their parents in line with knowing what has happened, that their child needs help, and trying to press more charges independently, quite possibly. But I'm willing to bet you that they have a way of finding out who he's had access to at that age.
Right. And like Jones just said, caller, that's what I think cops are investigating right now, too. And here's a sad reality that also I think we need to take into consideration is some of these children likely are no longer in the custody of their parents that were in these images.
Right. That's what I was thinking too, and a lot of them don't even know to speak up, like how you were saying. And I hope maybe your broadcast is different so they can speak up to somebody and tell someone that they're in those phones.
Um, can you say that again? I'm so sorry. Your connection's not that great. We can barely hear you. Can you say that last part again for us? I apologize.
Okay, that's exactly what I was saying. Is like those children were young and young, like you're saying. They don't know to come forward and speak, but maybe they can hear your broadcast and come forward to somebody and say something, even if they're a 5-year-old little kid. That it's disgusting what this world's come to, in my eyes. This guy and
I
and there's
Agreed.
so many children that are in his phone that you're saying that not just Maddie, there's other children that were involved, and hopefully they'll get the I don't even know how to, some kind of, I don't know. It's disgusting. It's really disgusting.
I
It's
agree, caller.
they're just small children that this is happening to,
leave the kids
and
alone. Leave the kids alone.
exactly, exactly. I hope somebody hears your broadcast because maybe those little kids maybe are hearing it, hopefully, and they can tell somebody that it's happening, and they'll see their pictures in the phone.
I agree.
That's what we're hoping for, that something, somehow, somewhere, in any little thing that we can do will help save one child from this, because that is the most important thing, is stopping these heinous and egregious acts against kids.
And
Exactly.
I hope that we can
Exactly.
show knowledge to people that
I couldn't agree with you
these
guys more right now.
these women that hook up with these men and put their children in these situations. I mean, think about what you're doing. Think before you act, because you really never know another person. And I mean, I said this.
I was just thinking if Maddie had a disability, like she was saying, and she forgot her phone, wouldn't you think that maybe they should have walked her all the way into the school then, if that was the case? Regardless, dropping her off at a church someplace far down the street, you would think that if she had a disability, she would have walked her in, or he would have walked her all the way into the school the time it started. It disgusts me because there's a school close to my home that I sit and watch the kids outside when they come out, and it's dark time and before they get picked up, and there's nobody around. You know,
Absolutely,
I,
caller. That is a very, very good observation and a very good point. As the mother of an autistic child, I would never, even when my son, right before he graduated, okay, as a senior, I would have
exactly.
never dropped my autistic son, who knew his address and phone number very well,
Yeah,
off.
and she was saying that she didn't know any of that. So it would seem to me that I would have took my daughter or son's hand and walked them all the way into school if that was the case. You just don't drop them down the street. I don't understand that. And leave them in the dark outside where there's nobody else around, and they're sitting there waiting for parents to pick them up. I don't understand that either.
I could not agree more with you. Char, what do you think?
I think that there's definitely a lack of parenting, maybe, is what I need to say. That parents need to act like parents, not just someone who occasionally is there to drop their child off or pick them up or whatever the case may be. I think that it's unfortunate in this country that in a lot of cases both mother and father have to work, but if it's a child who has a disability, there there are ways to make sure that your child gets to and from school safely, not left on their own.
Well, I would also like to acknowledge, caller, even a little deeper into your point. According to Jennifer Soto in an interview, she didn't even know if Madeline knew her own address.
Exactly what I was saying.
So I completely agree with you. Why in the world would a mother of an autistic child who obviously has some sort of learning disability by everything the mother has said about Madeline drop
Right,
her off a half a mile from her school? I
right.
mean, I completely, very valid point. Excellent, excellent point. Excellent point, Regina. It feels so weird saying my name.
And and the same thing with his car. There's pictures of his car with a spare tire on. I know that took place. If you look at his
Yes. Yes, there
yeah,
are, Regina. There are pictures
yeah,
of him with a donut spare on his car. Yes.
yeah. So I don't know if that was around that time or before, but I also agree with you guys. I would have opened my freaking door and said, "Come look for her. What the hell's the problem? Come find her."
Can I say
You know,
something,
it's
Regina?
I don't know what this world's coming to, but that's
Yes. Crystal, go ahead, hon.
Well, and I think this is how I am as a mom. And I guess I think that when you have a child, your life becomes their life. So your heart is beating outside of your body, and that needs to be your
mm,
first priority is your child. And so everything you do, you need to think about your child before you do yourself and your own needs and wants. People need to start putting their children and let children be children. We're pushing them to grow and just be independent, and we're suffering. The children are suffering, and we're losing children. Children are being abused. They're being killed. And I personally think it starts at home with the
Yes,
parent.
absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, Regina, excellent,
I,
excellent points, girl. Excellent points, girlfriend.
I hope anybody, even the small children, hear your broadcast. I hope they do, and somebody puts it in effect so maybe it'll not happen again going forward.
If by chance there is a child listening, I want to say this to you. You are truly loved and you are cared about, and all you have to do is go to someone that you feel like will help you and ask, please help me, help me. You don't have to know the words for the horrible things that are happening to you, but ask someone for help. Just say, please help me.
Yes, thank you, Sammy. Thank you for that. If you're out there, and even if you don't understand it as a child, what's happening, um, I know and you know that what's going on to you feels wrong. If you feel like there's something going on that feels wrong to you as a child, tell somebody. And if the first person doesn't listen, tell someone else. And if they don't listen, tell someone else. Keep
Yes,
talking. Do not be silenced.
just ask for help.
Exactly. Exactly. Thank you, you guys, for your broadcast. You've done a lot.
Thank you, Regina, so much for calling in.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you, Regina. It was beautiful
Really
hearing from you.
wonderful
yes,
hearing from you.
And
yes.
it's
Please,
exciting. Our first caller is named
our first
Regina.
caller, right? It's so cool. But at the same time, like I said, it feels weird saying my own name.
Right.
But it's cool too. You know what I mean? I'm excited.
Yes,
I got to meet another Regina today, and I got my first call today. This is so cool.
Please
Sorry.
call back again, Regina. Your call is always welcome.
Absolutely.
you have a blessed St. Patrick's Day. I'm gonna hang up now.
All right. God bless you. I hope to hear from you again soon, Regina. Thank you.
Thank
Blessings.
you.
Blessings and prayers for you and your family. Bye bye.
You too. Bye bye.
What an excellent first phone call. Miss Regina, you are amazing. Thank you so much for calling in. You guys, that was so cool. I enjoyed that. What'd you guys
That was
think?
a good call.
It
Yeah.
But
was definitely
Yes.
made some good points.
Very good points. Very good points. Um, I'm happy. I'm sorry. This is exciting to me. I've never done this before or had call-ins, and such an amazing first call. What more could I ask for, you guys?
And
What more could we?
how ironic her name was Regina.
I thought I misheard whenever because it screens the call, it lets me screen the call before it comes in.
Yeah,
And I thought I misheard at first. I was like, there's no way that said Regina. But yeah, yeah, she said Regina. That's
that's
so cool.
awesome.
I love that. For anyone else that wants to call in, it's 1-870-266-6949. And we're looking forward to your phone call. And the phone lines are wide open. But she also made a very, very interesting oh, we got a call.
Call from Janine to accept.
Well, hello, Janine. Welcome to the show.
Well,
Nice
hi,
to have you with
Regina.
us.
How are you?
I'm blessed every morning I wake up. How are you?
Yes, ma'am. I am too. Well, I have like a story I would like to share with you ladies. That I'm a victim too of being touched when I was younger, and it was in the
Aw,
family.
I'm so
And my
sorry to hear
sister,
that, Janine.
yes, ma'am. And if I cry through this, forgive me, but I'm 59 years old now. I have 10 grandkids. So to this very day, it still haunts me. But I just want to tell you that, this happened to me too, and they do groom you. And the thing that I want to tell you guys also on top of all this stuff that's going on with Madeline is that, when I was 16 years old, I just turned 16. Well, I got a job working at a kettle restaurant. Okay. And there was a Santa Claus that had came to our town to work at the mall, take pictures with the kids, right? So I just got this job. I was waitressing. And his name is Bill McReynolds. Well, anyway, I waited on him, several times. He always left me a good tip. Anyway, he was a nice gentleman, and he would always stare at me, and that kind of thing. But I thought, okay, well, him being a Santa Claus, at the mall, because he told me this. I thought to myself, well, he's okay. I mean, who's scared of Santa Claus? Nobody, you know. So anyway, he asked me. This was on a Friday evening when I was at work, because I went to school, and then after school I went straight to work. I took my uniform with me. Anyway, I talked to him, and he asked me that Friday evening after he had ate dinner there, and there was a hotel called Roadway Inn. It was behind the Kettle Restaurant, and that's where he was staying. Well, he asked me, he said, I'll be at the mall tomorrow, and it's Manor East Mall. He said, I will be at the mall tomorrow morning. Why don't you come in and take a picture with me? And I thought, oh, well, that's really nice. And he's like, then he started talking to me about his daughter. And he started telling me this story about his daughter and his wife. His daughter was kidnapped along with her friend, and his daughter's friend got molested by this person, and the girl ended up. His daughter didn't get touched, but the friend did. Okay, molested or raped, whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure, but that's what he said. And then he told me that I reminded him of his daughter. And like I said, he stared at me constantly, and he'd always make conversation with me. Well, that I called my friend. Her name was Connie. I called her and I told her, that Saturday morning, I called her, said, do you want to go with me to the mall, have a picture made with Santa? And she's like, yeah, I can do that. And I was like, okay. So she and I went to the mall to get our picture made early that morning because he told me to come early. And so we went, and when we got there, she was standing, at the end of the thing while he was, up front by where he sits in his chair. Well, I walked up there, and the first thing he said to me, he said, "Why did you bring your friend?" And he said it really aggressively, like, and I was just like taken back. I had no idea what on earth, why he would talk to me like that. But anyway, so I felt very uncomfortable at that time. Well, that was all he said to me. But anyway, we took the picture, whatever, and went on about our way, which was okay. Well, then I seen him later on that evening at work. He came in to eat. Well, then he starts talking to me, and he asked me if, where I live. And I told him, that I lived there in town, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he told me that he was going to do a Christmas party at Conway Twitty's house, okay, up in, I think, Tennessee. Anyway, I said, "Oh, Conway Twitty, my mom loves Conway. Wow, that's great." And he's like, "Well, if you'll give me your address, I'll send you a picture." And I said, "Oh, wow, my mom would love to have a picture of Conway, And so I wrote down my address, gave it to him with my name, my full name. Anyway, it was after that, I didn't see him anymore. He had left, I guess. Anyway, after that, I got a letter in the mail with a picture of him and Conway Twitty at Conway Twitty's house from the Christmas party. Well, I gave it to my mom, surprised her with it, gave it to my mom, and which, she thought that was just awesome, Make a long story short, later on in life, I come to find out that little girl, John Benet Ramsey, was killed. Well, come to find out, Bill McReynolds, that I had took the picture with, ended up being involved in that case. And they thought that, he was the one that might have, killed her. So for all those years,
Oh my God.
that weighed on my shoulders. And I was scared to say anything because I had children at that time. I was scared to death, because I had been fondled when I was younger and, went through that as a child. And then I was just scared to death, and I was married at that time. I told my husband, and he's like, call someone. And I told him, no, if I didn't have kids, that I would, because I was scared to death, because that was something that was really big. So I followed that case for a very long time. And then come to find out, there in the end, they discovered that he, when they investigated him, they found out that he was going into these stores, where they sell these porn magazines and all that. He was buying those. And that was the only thing that he was, worried about. He was embarrassed. So they said that it was a write-up about it. He was embarrassed that because his wife didn't know about it. And it was just and to this very day, he's dead now. He had a heart attack, but he's dead. And to this very day, I still, think back in my mind, he did that to me, and he wanted my address, and I was just innocent. I didn't think anything of it. He was Santa Claus. You know what I mean? So people, don't take your children to go sit on Santa Claus's lap. You don't know who they are. You don't know what they have in their background. You just don't know. And like I said, I'm 59 years old. I have 10 grandkids. I protect my grandkids with everything in my being. And what bothers me the most is Madeline's mother did not act like a mother to that child in that interview that she did with that baby, for that baby, And my mother was handicapped, okay? And when I went to my mother about me getting touched and my sister getting touched, my sister and I would go to bed at night and we would tuck our covers in under our mattress, okay? And we would cross our leg over each other, one leg over each other. So if one got picked up, out of the bed, the other one would wake up. And it was just horrifying, But the person that did this to my sister and I, has dementia now and all that, and, would never would never admit it or anything like that. And like I said, my mother was handicapped. There was nothing she could do. She couldn't walk. She was in a wheelchair since she was 2. So it was just really bad, all the way around. And I had to learn to forgive this man for doing this to me and my sister. And my mother's passed, and it's like, I don't take my grandkids around this man at all. And sooner or later, he's remarried, and sooner or later, his wife's going to find out about it. But, I don't want it to come from me or my sister, anything like that, because he was a very violent man at that. But yeah, so I just want to let everybody know, these people come in different sizes, colors, they may come as Santa Claus, and you don't think that there's anything to them, but there is something deep and ugly inside them. You just never know. So I wouldn't take my grandkids to go sit in Santa's lap anywhere, nowhere, absolutely nowhere. So, this thing with the Madeline's case, it bothers me simply because I honestly believe that, Madeline's mother, Jen, I think she had a lot to do with this because she's very, she doesn't take up for her daughter like a loving mother would, I would be just unconsolable. I would, just not be able to speak. You know what I mean, Regina?
I know
I
exactly what you're talking about. I want to
I
tell you this.
absolutely do. I
That
absolutely do, Penny.
16-year-old child that
And
you
it's
were,
very, very hurtful. And like I said, I'm 59 years old. I still should not have to carry this on my shoulders, but I do to this very day, and I pray about it. And it is like, it's just hard to shake even at my age. And I can't imagine what that poor little baby went through. I can't even imagine. And it breaks my heart. And it's hard. You're the first person that I've ever told live, this story. And it's the truth. And
can I say something to you, Janine?
I just don't know,
I just wanna,
I
I
don't know
wanna,
what's
I
coming
wanna
to
give
all
you
these
a
evil
hug.
people that do things to children like that,
Yep.
But that's just pretty much what I wanted to say, to you. And I just hope and pray that, that message gets out. Don't trust no one with your children or your grandchildren. Don't.
I
Can
am
I
so
say something,
sorry, caller.
Janine?
Sorry. I'm
That
sorry with this caller. I mean, I was just cried. I'm sorry.
it's
No,
okay.
please don't apologize. Go ahead, Sammy.
I just want to tell you that 16-year-old girl that you were, remember this. You're a strong woman today, and you have learned so much through your experience. And I want you to look at that 16-year-old girl and realize that you did not know what to do at that time, honestly. But it's very hard to heal from it, but remember this, that gave you the tools to help protect your
I'm
grandchildren.
sorry.
I just want to give you a hug, sister.
Me too. I am giving you a hug as we
I couldn't hear what
speak.
she was saying. I'm sorry.
We had an echo. Go ahead, Sammy. It was echoing, hun.
Okay. I just want you to
I
look back
couldn't
at
hear
that
her.
16-year-old child that you were and realize you were just that. You were an innocent child and you could not have changed the situation. I want you to realize, though, even with all of the pain that we carry when we go through this stuff, that gave us the strength to know how to protect our own children and the people in society and our
Yeah.
grandchildren.
Hold on just a second. I'm so sorry, Miss Janine. Could you please mute the other uh
Yes,
output you
ma'am.
have real quick? We're having a hard time with echo, darling.
Okay, gotcha. Yes, ma'am. I did.
All right, now
I just
Sammy, would you please?
I just want to tell you though, at being that 16-year-old child, you were
Miss
entirely
Regina, I can't
innocent.
hear anything that you guys are saying that she's saying.
Okay, that's okay, honey. You can re-listen to this.
Mm.
Um, can you hear me, Janine?
I can hear only you. I can't hear anyone else.
Oh,
Just you.
well, that's strange.
Kind of weird.
Well,
I
that
know.
explains it.
If I turn my volume up on my my tablet. I can hear you guys, but I can't um, on my phone. I don't know why.
Well, we think you're beautiful and thank you for sharing your story.
There we
A-
go.
And I
Is it
can
still
speak for the
echoing?
four of us
No, it's not echoing.
that we're all
Okay.
sending you hugs.
You are so brave for sharing your story. Um, and
Mr.
you're
Dina, this is hard. This is very hard. You have no idea how hard this was for me to do.
Did it bring you some peace?
And I thank you guys for speaking out, and I speak out too, and people that haven't been where I have been and other survivors have been, they don't understand, the they don't understand the turmoil and how long you carry that with you, even when you don't want it with you and you don't. People just don't understand. You know what I mean? It's
That's
crazy,
true.
and they say the
That is
craziest
so true.
things,
Yep.
and not believing people, not believing your story. I think that's what hurts the most.
Yep.
That is absolutely what hurts the most
Remember
because
this. You're not just a survivor, you are a
Yes,
warrior,
ma'am.
sister. You are a warrior.
yes, you are. And
Thank
and even though you have held this in for so long, you're coming forward now and you're telling your story now. And there are people in here that need to hear this. So I just want to
yes, ma'am.
commend you on your bravery, honey. I
Yes,
just want to
ma'am.
it takes a lot to come forward with something like this. And I would also like to also, if it's okay, reiterate what your husband said. You need to report this. You absolutely need
Mhm.
to report
Well,
this.
my husband passed away. He had a massive heart attack and passed away. But I don't know. Several years ago, I had called and tried to report it, and they just told me, oh, they didn't, they didn't think they had anything to do with it. All his everything checked out with him. I'm talking about the Santa thing. That everything checked out with him. Well, he was only 30 miles from that little girl's house, when all that happened. And I just, it's always bothered me. But I did call and tell them, and they were like, no. And I was like, well, why did he talk to me about, how pretty I was? And I reminded him of his daughter and all this kind of stuff. And he told me the story, all that, that bothered me so bad after, I'd been touched as a child, my sister too. And then that happens to me. And it's like, wow, just, what they didn't, they just acted like it was, oversaid and done, about that. And, the other part, I just, I haven't seen my abuser in, years. So, I just can't. He has dementia. So, there's, he's in his 80s or close to 80, whatever.
Right. Well, Janine, let me tell you something about what you said about you had a weird feeling, like you knew something was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was but God. Um, and I know this because I had a similar experience. Only it was with the serial killer Robert Eugene Brashers. Um,
Oh,
I was babysitting his daughter and uh his stepdaughters, the twins, April and Angela. And I was going to stay the night with my biological father. I was adopted, long story. Um, but he said something to me. He showed up randomly while my biological father and uh Robert Brasher's um ended up being his wife later on. But he ended up showing up while I was watching the girls. And he was acting paranoid and crazy. And he was watching the news and he kept telling us to shut up and he was being agitated and aggravated. And
oh,
that man come into the bed because I took the girls to the middle bedroom whenever he showed up because I was uncomfortable, you know, and I was just waiting for my dad and Rose to get there, which was his ex-wife or his wife. And that man looked at me and I he had been acting paranoid and stuff like I said, and he kept telling us to shut up, be quiet. And then so we went into the bedroom, we were whispering and stuff, because we could tell he was severely agitated. And that man leaned up against the window. I told him, I said, we're being as quiet as we can. We can shut up if you want us to, or something like that. But what he said, I'll never forget. He said, I'd like to shut that pretty little mouth of yours up for good.
Oh my God.
And
Oh, Mr. Oh,
it set off every alarm in my being. Every part
yes,
of me knew when he said that, he meant it.
yes, yes, yes.
And it struck me so hard. I was sitting on the bottom bunk that I stood up off the bottom bunk, walked straight into the kitchen, and called my parents that had adopted me and said, "Come get me right now." I told them what he said, "Come get me right now." So, you having that gut feeling, you having that
Yes.
intuition, do
Hmm.
not ignore that.
Oh, I didn't.
Don't
Uh-uh.
ever ignore that. And just because you called one person and they didn't listen, don't let that
Hmm.
silence you. Never let
Right,
that silence you, girlfriend. Never.
right, right. I always told my kids, if somebody makes you feel, a certain kind of way, come to me. I have an open relationship with my two children. I told them, if you've done something wrong, come tell me. Don't lie to me. Come tell me about it. I can't help you if you don't tell me the truth. I mean, I was mom. I wasn't really their friend until they got older, but I was mom. And I protected my children. The their friends came and stayed the night at my house. I didn't let my kids go stay the night at their friend's house. Um, it was just one of those things because it's embedded in your brain, not to trust anyone. And it doesn't matter to me what they look like or what they're dressed like or what they represent. I still don't trust. I have an issue with trust, always have, even with men. I couldn't
Right.
date. I couldn't after my husband died. And my husband's been gone for 20 years. No, he's been gone. Sorry, 18 years now. I have not remarried. I have a trust issue. Always will.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I understand that completely. Um, and I agree with you. It doesn't matter what they look like. It can be anyone. It can be your
Yes,
preacher. I mean, monsters come in all sizes and shapes and packages,
yes,
just
yes,
like
yes. Hmm.
everything else.
Yes, ma'am. They do. They do. And I just want, mothers to realize, from my experience with the Santa thing with Bill McReynolds and then that John Bonet thing, you know, um, my goodness, I'm going to tell you, that was like, for years, it psychologically messed me up. And especially being touched as a child, too, on top
Yeah.
of that. You know what I mean? And then not to be believed. And then when I tried to talk to someone about Bill McReynolds, just to give them what information I had that he did to me, how he acted to me. And I think now that when I got grown, after that happened, I was grown and I thought back on it. Why did he want my address? Why did he tell me that? Was he trying to groom me? Because he was buying these porn magazines out of these stores. Is that what he was doing? And he got my address, and I mean, I thought about that, but we moved, not too long after that, because my mom and dad got a divorce anyway. And it's just crazy because people, don't want to believe your story when you're telling them that, what happened to you. They don't want to believe what you're saying because it sounds so far fetched. I come from a small little town. I'm not ashamed to tell you. I mean, everything I say, is fact. And I was like, I'll even take a lie detector test any day of the week, no problems, none, you know. But it's just crazy how people don't believe you when you try to tell them about someone. I don't know what's going to happen with all that with that little girl, you know. And this Jen, mother of Madeline, I don't trust her as far as I can throw her. I have no idea why she said, other than this bothers me about that case, is she says, oh, she had a crush at school, a little boy at school. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a minute. There's just something about that that doesn't sit well with me at all. Period. None. I don't know how other people see that or read into that, but that part there does not sit well with me at all. And I don't live very far from where um, uh, um, Audrey.
Poor
Uh,
Audrey Cunningham.
yeah, and I've cried over that. I've cried over that. I live 45 minutes from there.
Oh my goodness, bless your heart.
Yeah, and so that really bothered me too. I'm glad that monster is off the streets. I'm glad he's gone. I'm man. I just and then this here, Madeline. Oh my gosh, it's like, when is this ever going to stop? People need to step up and believe these children. When these children reach out to you, believe them. And I don't care who it was or what they were, whatever. Believe them. They don't have any reason to lie. They're just children. And if they're acting funny, there's a reason they're acting funny. You know what I mean?
Absolutely,
You know,
Jenny.
you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. I absolutely know what you're saying. And I want you to know that I believe you. If no one else
Thank
has ever told you, Janine, I believe you.
Yeah, my husband believes me. My daughter, she believes me. And I called my friend Connie when all that happened. And I found out about the Santa. Bill McReynolds. I called her and I asked her, "Do you remember when we went and took that picture with him at the mall?" I, and he told me, in a rough voice, why did you bring your friend? He wanted me there by myself. He didn't. He was mad at me because I brought my friend. There was a reason for that. You know what I mean? Not that I,
Absolutely.
and
And
then later I find out.
that gut
Yes,
feeling that told you that, that was
yes,
absolutely, that was God.
yes,
That was your alarm bells. That was God.
yes, ma'am. Because I didn't find out about all of that until later, years and years later. Had children. I got married, had children, all of that. It was years later when I found out, about him. And the only reason I found that out is because of John Benet Ramsey in Boulder, Colorado. It was in all the papers and everything. And his
Yeah.
picture, when I seen it on the front page of the magazine, my heart dropped to my toes. I just stood there like in shock and fear. You know, it was terrible, terrible.
I'm glad that you're telling us. And if it would be okay with you, I would like to extend my email. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to
I mean,
message me because just because they haven't listened to you, they will
and
listen to you because if it's okay with you, I'd like to give you a voice.
yeah, and I just,
Your
I just,
your experience with that man needs to be
yes,
heard.
yeah, and excuse me, he's dead and gone, and I don't want to cause his family any more hurt than what they already have experienced from being accused of him, killing that little girl at one point. Excuse me, and I don't want to, be involved because I think that it's some kind of maybe a pedo ring going on. You know what I'm saying?
I
And I
suspect the exact same thing.
and I've got 10 grandkids that I have to protect. You know, so that's another reason why I haven't spoke to anyone about it outside. It took so much today to call you. I'm not joking. It really did. I held my phone in my hand for like you know, since you put your number up, I just held my phone, you know, wanting to call you, and I just kept weighing my odds. Should I not? Should I go ahead and speak out?
I'm so proud of you for doing it because I know that took a lot of courage.
It was a struggle. It was a big struggle.
And we're here for you. We are here for you, and I want to help your voice be heard. Um, I'm putting it up on the screen right now. You can go back later and pull it up and email me. My email
Yes,
address is
ma'am.
on the screen right now for you, Janine. And
Okay.
I want you to know that all of the ladies are here for you with you right now. Crystal, Sammy, and Char. Um, I didn't
Yes,
realize you couldn't hear them, but they are here with you. And we are extending our love and our thoughts and our prayers to you.
thank you. I love you guys. I thank y'all so much from the bottom of
Thank
my
you so
heart.
much
You know,
for
I just
calling.
felt that for some reason, I just needed to tell you, and I haven't told anyone else about this other than, you know, just a couple of people, like I told you, you know. But I just had to, for some reason, maybe God put it on my heart to tell you this, my story. But I
Yes,
thank you
because
for, you
someone
know,
else may
hearing
be
me
going
out
through
and,
this.
you know, not cutting me off and all of
Yeah.
that. And, you know, I just want everyone to know, especially these mothers, don't take your children to go sit on Santa's lap. Please, please don't do that.
Well, let me tell you something, Janine. It's what I know you probably couldn't hear, but it was what Sammy was just saying. You sharing your story could help somebody. It could actually save a life. So thank you. Thank you for being a voice. Thank you for being brave enough to take that initiative. And
Yes,
I appreciate you so much, and I'm so sorry for all that you've been through. I'm
yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Miss Regina. I appreciate you too. I mean, I truly do. And I'm praying. I'm praying so hard that, you know, whoever was involved with this, with Madeline, her mom, him, I don't care who it is. I hope they get them, and I hope they throw them away as far as in they can be thrown. You know, because I can't stand. It drives me crazy, these kind of stories. You know, I try to watch other ones. You know, with Brittany and all them, and you know, it sometimes it just gets to be too much for me, and I have to get off. You know, and I have to take, you know, my prescription anxiety medication because it gives me anxiety. You know, uh, and so there's just times that, you know, I just have to leave the chat because of that there, because, you know, it brings all that up. It triggers me.
Yeah, it triggers the trauma reaction from your own experience. I completely understand.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And it does. It does. And so I always try, if I'm going to listen to it or whatever, go into the chat, you know, I will try to take my nerve pill beforehand so that way I'm not so triggered, you know.
Right.
But I just want to tell you, thank you so much. And I'm going to let you go, but I really do appreciate you guys, and God bless y'all.
God bless you so much, Janine, and thank you for being a voice. Thank you for
Yes,
sharing your experience.
yes,
And
ma'am. You're
but one more thing before you go, I want to ask your opinion. Um, who do you think took poor little Madeline Soto's life?
to be real honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
I really think that the mom did it, but I think that he covered up because she had, you know, she had stuff on him as well. I think she's gone through his phone. I think she knew what he was doing to her, to Madeline, and because she's not acting like a mom would act, I'm going to tell you, they wouldn't have to call the cops to take care of that problem. If somebody did that to one of my grandkids or my kids, I would take care of that problem myself. You know what I mean? I
Oh,
wouldn't need a
I'm right there with you. They
I would.
ain't gonna have to arrest nobody. That look, if someone comes
That's
and hurts
right.
one of my kids, they better hope the police get them before I do, because
That's That's right. They better beat me to it. That's all I can say. You know, they better beat me to it. That's all I can tell them. Because you know what? God help them, because they're going to need
I'm
every
live.
bit of it.
They're coming.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry about
Exactly.
that.
And so that's okay. And so you know what? I think they're both guilty. And right now, I don't think we're seeing any charges brought up on either one of them because they're both throwing each other under the bus. That's what they're doing, back and forth, back and forth. But you know what? What they don't realize, the officers, they're very clever. They've been through this stuff so many times. It's crazy. They will play them against each other is what they will do.
Yes.
We all know this. You
Yes.
know, they may not, or then again, you know, they may. I don't know. But you know what? I don't think either one of them has enough sense to realize, you know, that is probably what's happening or going to happen. And I don't care if she's in a mental hospital. I don't care where she's at. Her ass is going to jail. Mark my words. Remember, I said this because she has something to do with it. I just have that gut feeling. That's
I
just
agree.
my.
I agree
But
too.
I think
I
you.
I agree.
What? I'm sorry.
we all agree with you.
Yeah.
All of us ladies agree with you.
Yes,
Yes,
And
I
ma'am. We all
agree
have that
also.
mother intuition. We all have that mother instinct. We know when something's not right with our child. I can look at my kid's face and know if there's something wrong. I can listen to their voice and I know if there's something wrong. I can,
amen.
you know, because I'm a mother. I'm a
Exactly.
mother. You know, I have that in me. We
Exactly.
all
You were
do.
a mother first. You put your
You
children
know, and I'm a
before
grandmother
you.
on top of all of that. So that makes it even twice as bad, you know? I had a double dose of it.
Yeah.
So how she
Bless your
doesn't
heart.
know. Yeah, so how Jen doesn't know or acting like she doesn't know. No, she knows. She knows. I'm
I
telling you,
agree.
you know, she knows. But I'm just gonna pray about it and you know, it's in God's hands, you
Yes,
know, but
ma'am.
they're gonna get what's coming to them because God, He knows. He knows the truth, He knows what they've both done or who's done what. God knows. You know, even if we
Absolutely.
don't know, He knows and his justice is his. That's how I see it, you know. It's gonna be
Amen.
his. In the end, it's going to be his. So they're going to have to pay for their sins. All of them are. Every pedo out there is going to pay for their sins. Every one of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Amen.
I
But I'll get
agree.
off here, and you know, I thank you so much for the time that you let me have.
I thank you for
Mm.
calling in again. I think that your story is so important to share. Thank you for having the bravery to share it. And
Yes, ma'am.
I feel like it's going to help someone. I really do. I think you've already made an impact whether you know it or not. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I hope I did. I hope I did because you know I wish somebody would have said that to me when I was 16. You know, I wish somebody had of because look at everything that I've you know thought about over the years you know, and had to hold inside, you know, just because I felt threatened if I spoke out, you know, that's the worst feeling
Yes, Miss
ever, Miss
Janine.
Tina.
Yes.
You know,
Ah,
that's the worst feeling ever.
absolutely.
But God bless you and the panel and everyone in your chat. And I just wanted to let you know that, you know, I'm here and, you know, I can be reached as well. You know, if someone wants to talk to me, that's fine. You know, I'm fine with that, you know.
Well, I
But
sent you my email. I put the link up of my email. It's in the stream a
okay,
couple of times. And if my lovely
okay.
mods would be so kind, one of them to put email back up in there for me real quick. Um,
Okay, and you have my phone number now, right?
yes, I sure do, Miss Janine. Yes, I
Okay,
sure
well, you're
do.
welcome, Miss Regina. You're welcome to call me anytime you want to call me. You're welcome to call me or shoot me a text. That's fine too. Okay.
I will reach out to you. Thank you very much.
Yes,
And
Thank you,
God
ma'am.
bless
Janine.
you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. You guys have a good evening.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Yes.
You
Bye-bye.
too.
Thank you, Miss Regina.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss
Yes,
Janine.
yes,
I
ma'am.
will
You're
be
welcome.
reaching out. I will be reaching out.
Okay,
God
that
bless
would be
you.
nice. Thank you. God bless you too. Bye bye.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. I'm speechless. I'm speechless.
Yeah,
What-
that she was brave for calling in and telling her story, and I'm grateful that she did because I hope that people think about it's almost Easter time. and bringing kids to see the Easter Bunny because you really don't know what's under that suit. She's correct. And I totally agree with her when she said that they would never find the body because that's the same. I mean, I would stop at nothing because once again, like I said earlier, when you're a mother, your heart beats outside of your chest. It's no longer your life and every decision, every choice, everything you do should be about your children first and foremost. So God bless the caller. Thank you for
Yes.
calling in.
Absolutely. And I think that she made a very, very good, valid point. Don't put your kid on a stranger's lap, period. No matter if they're wearing a Santa suit, an Easter bunny suit, a turkey suit for Thanksgiving, if they're dressed up like a mascot for your favorite team, it don't matter. Don't put your kids on a stranger's lap.
Can I say one quick thing? Just a little quick story. This happened when my daughters were younger. Uh, my daughter was 4, and she came to her father and I and said, um, "How come you tell me not to talk to strangers, but you take me to a bunch of houses, and I say trick or treat, and a bunch of strangers give me candy?" And she was 4 and said that to us. So what we did from that point on was we usually bought her a box of candy and a toy and let them pass candy out because she had us and she was 4 and she caught the contradiction. So I totally understand what this woman was saying just now. And again, she's absolutely correct. And I definitely will think about that.
Well, here's another one for you, Crystal. We can even take it another level beyond that. Now that you bring it up, which is a very good point. But we also tell our children it's okay to let a stranger break into our house once a year and leave presents under our tree and sneak into our house down the chimney dressed in a Santa suit.
Exactly. And again, that's what makes callers good because she pointed that out. And it just, I hadn't thought about that in years. And she's absolutely right. You don't know what's under that costume. And why do we bring kids to sit on some strange man's lap for a photo that cost $500?
Exactly. And what's happening to our children that we're not seeing in that photo? I mean, there's a lot of shaded area between someone sitting on another person's lap and them. There's a lot of shaded area. What's happening to our kids when we do that? And to our children that are so young, they don't understand it. They aren't even aware of it. Just like Janine said, and like Sammy said, these kids aren't even aware what's going on with them. What's happening? They're too young. Mm-mm-mm. That is a scary, scary thought. So, but with that said, I think it's about just about time. Sammy, are you still there, honey?
I am.
Char and What is True? Did y'all want to give any last final thoughts and comments?
My comment is God bless anyone, anywhere who's gone through anything remotely like our caller went through. And listen to what she said. There's people out there that will help you. You have to tell them. That's all.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I have another resource I want to hook her up with, so I'm gonna end up calling her back after the live and stuff tonight. Um, but Miss Janine, I just want to say you are so brave. Thank you so much,
Yes.
and we appreciate you, and I believe you. I absolutely
I do.
100% believe you.
Yes.
Go ahead. What is true?
I would just like to remind people that kindness and compassion and to take the time and smile at a stranger because you could save a life without even knowing it. And kindness and compassion isn't just good for the other person, it's good for your own soul. So, God bless.
God bless. All right, Sammy. We are back to Sammy's resources. Sammy, if you would like to talk a little bit more about resources and how people can ask for help and reach out, and then I will share um, the brilliant uh, the brilliant contact information that you provided for that today as well.
I think honestly, if we can get people to start looking into more about how to learn, how to be an advocate for children, and how to be a reporter and to help children, because this is like a rung that's been missing for decades for these children to be able to reach out and get help. So honestly, any resources we ever offer, I always try to look for a resource that not only gives you a place to report things, but it also gives you resources for you to learn how to help a child or to help anyone who's being abused get the help they need. Because even if it turns out that it is false, that you were wrong, no big deal. At least someone's attention was gotten. I mean, this is the only hope that some of these children have. So I just would like to ask everyone else out there, especially if you've never been through this stuff, please, please understand sometimes you could be the only chance that child has of making it out alive and unscathed.
Thank you, Sammy. Absolutely, absolutely. And I believe that knowledge is power. For lack of knowledge is but why my people perish. Um, that's my favorite Bible quote, and it's my favorite Bible quote for a reason. For lack of knowledge is why my people die. Knowledge is power. Whenever you give someone knowledge and resources, it's empowering, Sammy. And I just want to say I appreciate you so much for what you do in that aspect. And I would also like to say, Char, I adore you. You brought up some very good theories tonight and had some excellent questions and stuff, and I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. And I would also like to say, Crystal, what is true? Um, I think that you bring a different kind of insight that sometimes I don't even think about myself. And I know that me and you agree with a lot of things in this case, but I know there are some things that you have taught me along the way in this case, and I appreciate that so much. And
Thank you.
Hollis woman, I know that you have things going on and you couldn't be here tonight. And I just want to say we love you and we miss you and we are thinking about you. So, all right. With that said, Sammy, I'm going to play this video on the resource prevention, you guys, and then we're going to start calling it a wrap.
It's a wrap.
Alrighty. And we're going to do that one more time, you guys, because these are resources, information, contact information. If you see a child in need, being neglected or abused, please call or text. with that said, is there anything else you'd like to add, Crystal?
No, I just want to say good night to everyone in the chat, and thank you, mods, and thank you, callers. Thank you, Regina, Sammy, Char, and Hollis. Wishing you well, and good night.
Good night. What is true? We love you.
Love you so much. I'd just like to say good night. What a pleasure it's been to be with all of you. The best mods ever. God bless all those who are suffering. Good night.
Good night, Char. We love you.
Love you too.
All right, Miss Sammy, it looks like it's just me and you left. Is there any final thoughts?
I'm thinking of Hollis, so I'm going to say that's a wrap.
Aw, she's gonna love that. You're so awesome for doing that. Good night, Sammy. Love you. Good night, Hollis. Love you. Wish you were here. And with that said, you guys, lock your windows and lock your doors. Stay vigilant. Vigilant. Lock your windows and lock your doors. Stay vigilant. It's really up to us to protect our children and our homes. We are the first line of defense for our youth, for our children. So be a voice for them whenever you can be a voice for them. And with that said, blessings and good night.